What's up, guys? So I just finished painting up the Revo chassis, and I figured I'd start on another project while I finish letting it dry. This is going to be for the Axial SCX10. And today I'm going to show you how to take this antenna tube and make your own Firestick CB antenna look-alike. It's not going to work, it'll just look like it. So what you're going to need is some heat shrink tubing, telephone wire. You're just going to need one of the strands out of it. You can use any wire, but telephone wire is the thinnest, and it seems to work perfectly for it. Set of wire cutters or dikes, antenna tube, and either hot glue or super glue. Alright, let's get to it. Now I've already taken one of the strands of wire out of the telephone wire casing. You're not going to need this long of a wire. Probably going to need only about half of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap the antenna tube to simulate the look of an actual Firestick antenna. So what I do is I take the tip of the wire, shove it through the base or the top part of the antenna, and I bring it down and I wrap it a little right at the top. This is kind of hard to do, so I'm only doing a couple of wraps. Alright, so you just want it to kind of hold in place like so. Okay? Doesn't need to be anything fancy, just needs to hold. Now, the next part, we're going to super glue the tip of it so that it holds that wire into position, and then we're going to finish wrapping the entire thing, having a tight wrap at the top and a wide wrap down at the bottom. I'm just taking a little bit of super glue and I'm just putting it on the top. Now you want to make sure that that wire is being held inside the tube. I'm just going to push it right up against it, just like so. And let that dry, which only takes a couple of seconds. Now you can even mold the hot glue while it's still drying a little bit. Just be careful not to burn yourself, just to make sure it's nice and smooth. Now what we're going to do is push the rest of the wires up near the top of the base. Pull tight, and we're just going to continue wrapping. So the wire is touching itself. So there you go. One antenna tube with the telephone wire wrapped around it. You see how it spreads further down here is wider than up here. Doesn't need to be perfect, okay? Now what I'm going to do is make sure that that's nice and tight. Take the hot glue again, and at the bottom end I'm going to put a little dab just to hold the wire in place. Again, it doesn't need to be a lot. Okay? So now that while that's drying, we're going to go grab some heat shrink tubing. 1/4 inch D times 2.278 L. So that's 2 inches long, 2 by 7/8 inches long, excuse me. If you can get a longer piece, go for it. I don't have a longer piece, so I'm going to use 2 of these. Now what you're going to do is you're going to slide this right on over. And just be gentle, so that way it just has a little bit of a tip, apologize, a little bit of the tip sticking out. Okay? And you're going to take a lighter. And then you're gonna just go back and forth with it, okay? Just until the whole thing seats down on it. Now be careful not to burn your hands, okay? keep going back and forth, doing different sections at a time, okay? Okay. So now, half of it is done. It's starting to look a little bit more like a real Firestick antenna. Now we're going to take the other half, just going to overlap it slightly, just slightly, okay? Ooh, that's still warm, so I want to give that a second. And there you have it. Kind of a cool looking little antenna. Now all you need to finish this off is a nice red cap that goes right on the top. Now we're going to mount it to the Axial SCX10. My idea is to mount it right up against the body like that, okay? Now I'm going to use some hot glue. You can use super glue. Those two seem to be the best. The thing with super glue is that it's not flexible. So if you do roll the car, at least with this hot glue, it'll allow it to bend a little. That's why we're using the soft antenna tubing, so it does bend. Like I said, you can use the super glue, that's up to you, but I've found that the hot glue seems to work just as well. Now I'm trimming part of the bottom off that isn't covered by the heat shrink. And let's see here. I'm thinking right there. Put it like that, and then add a little bit of hot glue. Alright, and there you have it. An antenna, a Firestick antenna for your Axial SCX10. Now mine's still drying a little bit, but you can see where I mounted it using the hot glue. It's not the best looking thing, but it certainly looks cool. And I'll show you guys what it looks like on the truck. Now I know I still need to pick up that little red cap that goes on the top to make it official. But I gotta look around at some hardware stores first. So let me zoom the camera out. And there you go. Pretty cool looking antenna. Alright guys, so if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. If you got any ideas of your own, let me know. Alright guys, till next time.